curious, observant. Imagine you're a valet at a five-star hotel. Every day, the most expensive cars in the world roll up to your podium. When a driver hands over the keys to a brand new Ferrari, you stop and stare at the car. But here is the bizarre part. You almost never look at the driver and think, wow, that person is incredibly cool. Instead, you imagine yourself in the driver's seat. You want the car because you assume that if you were driving it, everyone would be staring at you. It's a complete psychological trap. People spend massive amounts of money on status symbols to impress strangers, but those strangers aren't paying attention to the owner at all. They are entirely focused on projecting their own desires onto the object. We sacrifice our own financial security to impress distracted strangers who are too busy worrying about themselves to notice us. And that relentless drive for external validation keeps an enormous percentage of society completely broke. 50 years ago, you only had to keep up with the people living on your street. Today, social media algorithms have replaced your local neighbors with a global highlight reel. Every time you open your phone, you are force-fed images of people who look happier, more beautiful, and more successful than you are. This constant exposure pushes us to make a critical error with our income. We start using money as a yardstick to measure our status against the rest of the world, rather than using it as a tool to build a secure, comfortable life for ourselves. We also confuse the terminology. Society uses the words rich and wealthy as if they mean the exact same thing. That semantic confusion is dangerous. Blurring the line between those two concepts is exactly what strips away your financial freedom. The path toward independence relies on a skill set rarely taught in school: the ability to manage your own behavior in the face of constant social pressure. Being rich simply means you have a high current income. It is highly visible. If someone drives a $100,000 car or wears a massive diamond ring, all you actually know about their finances is they have $100,000 less than before they bought the car. It is money explicitly spent to prove to the world that it exists. Look back at the 1800s. Cornelius Vanderbilt accumulated one of the largest fortunes in human history, worth roughly $500 billion adjusted for inflation. When he passed it on, the expectation was that his heirs would spend that money as loudly and ostentatiously as possible. They built sprawling, palatial estates and threw lavish parties. But that forced display of wealth dictated every aspect of their existence, down to who they were allowed to marry. Handed $500 million at birth, generations of heirs lived utterly miserable lives because they had zero personal independence. True wealth is the exact opposite. Wealth is invisible. It is the sports car you didn't buy, the mansion you skipped, and the luxury vacation you delayed. Wealth is financial assets that haven't yet been converted into the stuff you see. Consider Ronald Read. He spent his entire career working as a gas station attendant and a janitor. When he died, he left millions of dollars to charity. He didn't have a secret trust fund or an inside connection. He simply saved what little he could, invested it, and kept his lifestyle expectations low. True wealth is the absence of visible spending. It is unspent capital stored as potential energy, waiting quietly in the background to guarantee your personal freedom whenever you actually need it. The problem is, society frames the act of saving money as a punishment. It feels like a delay of gratification, a painful denial of something you want right now. But if you flip that perspective, the math changes completely. When you put $50 into a savings account, you aren't delaying pleasure. You are executing an immediate transaction. You are purchasing $50 worth of future independence and peace of mind today. Through compound interest, your returns earn returns. It starts flat, then curves upward into an exponential spike. The cost of admission for this growth is market volatility. You must endure sudden crashes and constant uncertainty to stay on the curve. We often confuse a fine with a fee. A fine is a punishment for doing something wrong. A fee is simply the required cost of admission to get something valuable. Market chaos feels like a fine, but it is actually just the fee you pay to let compounding do its work. Mastering wealth means being willing to pay that emotional fee in order to purchase absolute control over the rest of your life. This visual scale represents the mathematical formula for human happiness. Contentment is simply the gap between your current reality and your expectations. As your expectations increase and outpace your reality, the scale tips into a deficit, and you feel miserable. Before he was famous, Will Smith used to tell himself that if he just had more money, all his depression and doubts would vanish. Then he became incredibly wealthy, and he was still depressed. The money couldn't close the psychological gap in his head. The hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. When you hit a financial milestone, the immediate reflex is to upgrade your lifestyle. You get a raise, so you rent a nicer apartment or buy a better car. Striving for a higher income is completely useless if your expectations rise faster than your actual net worth. You will just spend your entire life running on a treadmill, forever feeling like you are falling behind. Curing financial ignorance starts with a single boring behavior. Check your bank account balance every single day. It takes 10 seconds. Building a baseline awareness of exactly what is coming in and what is going out removes the illusion of where your money actually goes. Next, implement the 10% rule. Treat saving money exactly like a fixed expense. It is not an optional luxury you do only if there's leftover cash at the end of the month. You automate it, stripping the emotion and the willpower completely out of the equation. From there, force yourself to ruthlessly categorize every dollar you spend into one of two buckets. Are you buying this item as a tool to live a genuinely better life for you and your family? Or are you buying it as a yardstick to measure your status against strangers? Waking up with total control over your schedule is the primary goal of this entire philosophy. When you stop using money to measure your status, you finally have the freedom to spend it on your own time.